Hello, my friend. This is Fausto Botelho, broadcasting from Brazil. And if you don't know our channel yet, here we practice our own technical analysis based on my many years of experience that I have with it. And it's a simple technical analysis where we try to extract logical indications within the charts. Nowadays, we're following a specific strategy. First of all, we believe Bitcoin is heading up. We're about to see the market gear up again and get back into its long-term upward trend. But in between, apparently, we're going down. So as we think Bitcoin is going to be worth $100,000, and it can be worth this year yet. I'll show you how. We think the best strategy for anybody, even if you were a hodler, would be for you to try to change your Bitcoins, which are going down, and exchange them to exchange it for other coins that could eventually be in a position of outperforming Bitcoin. So I did the homework, and I'm going to be showing you first Bitcoin, why we think it's going to 100K this year. I've said that already here in the channel, but I think it's very much important because this is the basic point, right? And then I'm going to show you 3 coins which I think are probably going to be outperforming Bitcoin in the next days, weeks, which is the time I think Bitcoin will be going down before reverting this downward trend, this counter trend, because the main trend is up. We're in a counter trend, which by being a counter trend can end at any moment too. So let's go ahead and change to our software. The software is in Enfoque. It's fully made here in Brazil, but you can use it. We have a support. You can call us support. The links are down below, and it's very cheap. You won't believe how cheap it is. But yes, you have to pay because we include our calls, our recommendations of cryptocurrencies. Okay, so that's why it has a cost. But it's something like 0.01 Bitcoin a month. So let's go to the charts. And first of all, I'm going to show you that here in this page, this charts page, I have Bitcoin. And I have the most important cryptocurrencies, right? So first of all, Bitcoin in the long term, I'm showing you a weekly chart where we can, well, that's the correct chart, what I call the correct chart, because it starts from the beginning, and it's of course in log scale, because if you put it in arithmetic scale, linear scale, you're gonna have this shit here, right? There's no other word to describe whoever looks a chart in a linear scale. You have to have a exponential scale, log scale. So seeing the correct chart, you easily see that market did a first upward movement that if we take to the Elliott wave theory, we would call wave 1, wave 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, wave 3, ABC wave 4, and now we're in wave 5. The thesis, my theory is very simple. Wave 1 and wave 2, upward movement 1 and upward movement number 2, which would be wave 1 and wave 3 in Elliott, they are exactly the same, about 50,000%. Yeah, well, that's Bitcoin, right? What can I do? When it goes up, right? So now we're in wave 3. We're in the third upward movement that would be called as wave 5. So wave 5, if the theory is very simple, I think wave 5 is going to be equal of wave 3 and wave 1 that were equal, right? So if we project wave this length here from the beginning to $200 here, it will take us to $100,000. The very interesting thing about what the market has done already is that, see, it so far it has going this part of this segment. It has already achieved to come as far as here. So there is a small part of this segment to for it to grow after it breaks the last top, $20,000, in order for it to reach $100,000. Okay, so what's happening now in wave 4 of the big wave 5, all right, is that we're seeing the market forming a descending triangle, which you can see better here in the daily chart. That's this descending triangle that usually ends up, as this one did, breaking the support line, and it projects an objective, which is the high of the triangle, projected down below the support level that takes us to $3,500. Which I believe we're going to achieve because everything is it's online here. I mean, everything is doing perfectly well in technical analysis terms. The downturn, I mean, the market is behaving just as we would expect it to behave. We just broke the support line of the descending triangle. Now the market is flagging down. This is a downward flag. It has all the characteristics of downward flag. So we're expecting to break the 6,000 level soon enough, and the market start coming down. First, it's going to stop for a cup of coffee or afternoon tea at 5,000, and well, we're going to keep watching it and follow it close, right? Because as we are, and this is very important, as we are in a counter trend, okay, let's remember that this is a counter trend because the main trend is upward, and before until it breaks the support line, the market is in a bull market. So it's a correction of a bull market. So a correction, you have to be very smart and have to follow close the market, because at any time it can change, right? So we're following Bitcoin very closely for that reason, okay? But until there, Bitcoin is coming down. So Bitcoin is going down. What is there for you to do? You may weep your tears, and you may be feeling bad, or eventually you're going to do something, right? So there's a lot of coins that you can think of trading that eventually may perform better than Bitcoin, may outperform, as people say, Bitcoin. So I've done, as I said, the homework, and I picked out of these here. Take a look. Out of these around 20 some coins, I didn't count them yet. Let me turn off the lights here. Which are these ones here, okay, and also these other ones here. I took 3 coins, which are, first of all, this coin here. Well, this coin is True USD. True USD is exactly the same as Bitcoin in US dollars. That's if we put it on a weekly chart here, candle weekly chart, that's the exact same weekly chart that I showed you in Bitcoin in dollar. This is dollar in Bitcoin, right? Except that we inverted. We invert the chart vertically. So what is a descending triangle in Bitcoin in dollar becomes an ascending triangle in dollar in Bitcoin, right? So Binance, the broker, started to Binance, the exchange, Binance, started to quote a pair. some 2 months ago, which is true US dollar Bitcoin. It doesn't quote Tether USDT in Bitcoin because it already has a pair Bitcoin USDT. I myself suggested to Bitcoin to Binance for them to quote that, because in terms of, as they only have stop orders, they don't have a start order. So you can put a start order over a certain pair. And so if you're long in if you're long in Bitcoin, so if you're holding Bitcoin in Binance, you can have a stop order in order to change your Bitcoins, to sell your Bitcoins whenever a certain level is reached. You can have this stop order to get out of your Bitcoins and go into Tether. But you don't have the opposite. If Bitcoin starts going up, you don't have an order that would be there taking care of your position, that eventually after the market breaking a specific level, touching a specific level, this order would enter and put you on the market back again. That can be done now with the pair True USD Bitcoin, because then you put a stop order in True USD Bitcoin if you'd have the True USD. But what I recommend is for you to think of then. Okay, let's go back again and take a look at the chart again. Okay, so taking a look at this chart, we can see, and going back to the daily chart, we can see that the market as well broke the resistance line, is flagging it with an upward flag, and it's probably going to go until this resistance line, right? That would mean an upward trend of around 60%. So this is the pair True USD BTC. But I wouldn't recommend to buy this one because this one has much less liquidity than the pair Bitcoin USDT. So what I would recommend is for you to eventually think of, I then wouldn't be able to recommend you to buy USDT. I can't say buy USDT, but I can tell you sell your Bitcoins against USDT, which is exactly the same, right? So I see what I'm projecting here. So that's the first one you should think about. We're talking about 60% up. That means if you change your Bitcoins to Tether, you might eventually, if I'm right, if technical analysis works here, you might eventually sell one Bitcoin into Tether, and eventually in a couple of weeks or a couple of days or in some days or weeks, you might eventually, your portfolio may be worth 1.6 Bitcoins or 1.5 or whatever. You might increase your Bitcoins with that. Okay, so that's the first one. The second one is Binance. Binance is a utility token made from Binance, the Binance Exchange, that provided us with an ascending triangle that was had the resistance line broken even before Bitcoin broke the support line of its descending triangle. So you have the exact opposite. And why is that? Why there's a coin that is going up while Bitcoin is going down? Well, I think it's very easy. I mean, for the guy of Binance Coin, it doesn't matter if the market goes down or up. All it matters is that it oscillates, that it trends upward or downwards. Because then he'll be winning commissions. I don't know if you heard about, but apparently Binance, with its 200 employees, make more money than Deutsche Bank with 60,000 employees. I think this is one of the most lucrative businesses in the world nowadays. It's the biggest broker in the whole crypto space, and it's huge, my friends. It's huge. If you eventually want to open an account in Binance, I would ask you to support the channel and use the link below. In doing so, you're going to be paying the same amount of brokerage, but we would benefit whenever you would trade in Binance, because you would be our referral customer. Okay. So the link is below. So back to the chart here. That's the idea. you'd buy it. Eventually, we might see the chart, the prices come a little down here. But I think we're seeing here, what we're seeing here is a sort of a rectangle, right? Sort of a rectangle, and I'm expecting these to go upwards. I hope this closes near the highs today. Let's take a look at the 60 minutes to see how it goes. Yeah, apparently it will, because this looks like an upward flag. So I would love to see the market closing around here tonight. Would be would be supporting my thesis that this is a rectangle. Back to daily chart. So, I told you about Binance. No, I told you about Tether. Possibility for you to sell your Bitcoins into Tether. But the point is that Binance Coin, from where it is today until the objective of the triangle, which is the height of the triangle projected from its resistance line, which is this segment here, right? Would produce an upward movement of around 158%. That's why I recommend you to buy Binance and not exactly exchange your Bitcoins to Tether, right? So the idea is to buy Binance. You can think of putting a stop order below 0.002 in Binance. And that's what I'm doing now with my tiny little amount of Bitcoins. And I'm expecting to eventually multiply it by 2.5, right? If I have 1 Bitcoin, eventually I'll go up to 2.5 Bitcoins with this 158% objective. So, and that's it. No, that's not it. There's another one, which is Ethereum Classic. Ethereum Classic, look at that, is, am I showing the correct? Yeah. Ethereum Classic is, I just made a video in Portuguese, which is, for you that don't know, it's our native language. I'm, for the moment, doing videos in Portuguese, another one in English, but I'm probably sticking on English, right? Because, of course, there's much more people speaking English than Portuguese in this world of ours. Hey, you guys cheer to Brazil, huh? We're in the next phase in the cup. Unless you are a Mexican for the next game, which is going to be Monday. We're very happy here because we're a lot of motive to be sad with our politics and with our economy. So a little joy to the people is very good, very welcome. So the point is, Ethereum Classic is testing this resistance line and is flagging up. So we're keeping an eye on this, and if we eventually see the market breaking this resistance level, we would think of buying around this level here. I'm showing you Ethereum Classic in Bitcoins, right? We would then buy here and put a stop right below the no, let's buy a little lower, right? So you'd be able to put a stop around 15% upwards. Now, my friend, let me show you just, no. Where is it? Ethereum Classic in dollars, where we're not very convinced. But as I said, if this resistance line is broken, the market is probably going up, and with Bitcoin going down, Ethereum Classic in Bitcoin would go up. If you see the chart Ethereum Classic in Ethereum, you see that Ethereum Classic has all the possibilities to outperform Ethereum, right? So we're keeping an eye on that. Now, so before I end this video, what I wanted to tell you is that you shouldn't take what I say as investment advice, right? Do your own analysis and remember that the most important thing that there is not for you to think of buying or not buying. The most important thing is for you to do your money management. And for that, my advice is don't buy a certain amount. Depending on what you put the stop, regulate your position, the size of your position, with something called position sizing, in order for you to lose only what you can afford. What you can afford, what you may afford, what you eventually must risk in each position that you make, no more than 1% of your capital. Do you know why? Because if you want to make 100% a year, hey, come on, wake up. 100% is a lot, man. Talk about anybody that manages a fund, a hedge fund, multi-market fund. 100%, he's the guy, you know. He's top of the market if he makes 100% a year. Warren Buffett doesn't do that. You know, the big guys don't do 100% a month. So if you want to go after 100% a month, a year, in the crypto space, you need to make 5.95, if my memory is not failing, a month. So if you're looking for 5.95 a month, how much you have to risk in each trade? Considering that one very important thing also is for you to trade like the professional gambler. You trade with the odds in your favor, with the statistics working for you. How do you do that? Well, go after a good analysis. You don't have a good analysis? Buy our analysis, buy somebody else's analysis. You only pick positions with a good profit-loss situation. So if you're risking these percent in terms of where you put your stop, your objective must be at least twice this size. So it's a situation 2 to 1. You're risking 1 to go after 2, sometimes 3, 4, 15 sometimes, because the objectives in the crypto space are very big, right? So that's the second factor that puts the odds in your favor. And the third factor, we use a very specific and straight method to administrate the positions. We place the initial stop, and then we follow the market. If the market goes up, for instance, we keep moving the stop up until you have the magic moment, which is when you put the stop over the price that you bought. So you have a stop over the price that you bought, the market coming down, you won't lose anymore. And then if the market keeps going up, you keep moving your stop up, and each time you move your stop up, you put in money on your pocket. You guaranteeing a minimum profit in order to be able to eventually make a bigger profit, right? So that's the most important thing. Go after position sizing and money management, because that's 80% of the factors that will provide, well, that will turn you into a successful trader. That's it. Thank you for watching it. If you like this video, tell your friends, subscribe, hit the bell if you want to be advised about new videos, and I'll see you next week.